Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series.
Hey guys, it's Adam here and welcome to PlayLoad. This is all my video game pickups for the month of February 2017. Not a particularly insane month, obviously, because trying to save a little money because taxes are coming up and all that stuff. And of course the Nintendo Switch is right around the corner, so you know, more fiscally responsible with the collecting, even though that inherently is an oxymoron because collecting is not really something that one would do if they were fiscally responsible, but it doesn't, whatever. So I got some stuff and I thought I'd show you what I ended up with. It's just not a whole lot. But the first thing I got was actually free because I didn't want it. Nobody wanted it, at least in my group. Halo Wars 2 for the Xbox One. Machinima sent this to us for the purposes of making a video. We did the video, and yeah, none of us liked this. It's not that it's a bad game, it's just not the type of game we like. You know, like RTSs and stuff. Made it well. When I say us, I'm talking about my other channel, Game Society. Though this ended up on the Machinima main channel. Yeah, basically, the long story short, didn't really like the game because of the type of game it is. Is it good at being that type of game? Probably, but I'm certainly not the right person to ask. But regardless, I ended up with a copy of Halo Wars 2. A couple other Xbox One games I'm more interested in that I got was the Atari Flashback Classics Volume 1 and Volume 2, each of which is a giant compilation of Atari 2600 games. Each one has 50 games on it, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, well, what the hell's the point of that? There's a bazillion ways to play Atari 2600 games, including, you know, actual cartridges, but largely, which is what I would prefer anyway. This was kind of one of those things that's convenient and just kind of cool. But actually, one of the things I do like about this, that is unique to this, as far as I know anyway, is that they added leaderboards and multiplayer and online support. That's pretty cool. That's kind of like a new way of being able to play a lot of these original games that obviously didn't have support like that built in mind. So, I don't know, I thought that was neat. Regardless, I got them. That's cool. And then finally for the Xbox One, I got Life is Strange. This was just like a clearance item thing. I think I got this for $8. Not bad, all things considered, so Life is Strange. And then I got an Xbox 360 game, a console I almost never pick up games for anymore. Mafia 2, it's not regular Mafia 2, it doesn't have any other special name. I'm going to call it the Deluxe Edition. Really, it's the Platinum Hits version, and I usually avoid Platinum Hits because I don't like the cases. But in this case, I made an exception because this iteration of the game is a 2-disc release, and the second disc contains nothing but the DLC. So you basically have the full game and all the patches and all the DLC and all that kind of stuff all on physical media, which I am always a proponent of, so that's definitely cool. And I was one of the few people that apparently liked Mafia 3. I quite enjoyed that game, even though I know Mafia 2 has nothing really not even really is tangentially connected to Mafia 3. Still, I wanted to check it out, so there it is. Another console I almost never get anything for, the PlayStation 3. I found each of these was $1 US in a store. Like, PS3 stuff isn't really that valuable right now, especially early PS3 stuff, both of which are PS3 exclusives, unless they get re-released. MotorStorm and MotorStorm Pacific Rift, both of which are racing games, using a lot of like off-road vehicles, dirt bikes, that kind of thing. And again, I know they're both PlayStation 3 exclusives, at least for the time being. This one, MotorStorm 1, I think this version of it happens to be a Canadian iteration because it's all in French and English. So I assume this got its way down from Canada at some point. Scott the Canadian, you tell me, did you do this? Are you responsible for this? Did you make this cross the border? I don't know, because this one doesn't have that. But nevertheless, MotorStorm, I don't know if this is the second one or if there's more than... I don't know enough about MotorStorm other than that it's at least considered a decent racing series for the PlayStation 3. But yeah, somebody tell me, Pacific Rift, is that the second one, third one? Is there more? Is this the only two? I don't know. You tell me. Now, moving on. Wii U. As you guys know, if you've been watching me for a while, I really want to get a full Wii U set, and I'm actually really close to that, which is really just because there aren't that many Wii U games, and I've been kind of battling that really since the console came out, as opposed to a lot of people who are now just starting to jump on that. For example, there's the Hello Kitty something Cruisers or something like that for the Wii U. They came out as a $20 game. Nobody bought it. Nobody gave a shit. I bought it because I was, you know, getting it for the collection. That game is now like a $500 game. What? Why the hell would you do that? But that's an extreme example, and that's just the U.S. version. I guess the European version isn't worth shit. But point is, people are starting to jump on the Wii U finally, as for collectors' reasons, no doubt, because the Switch is right around the corner. And so I'm trying to just finish it off, get the few pieces I still need. Here's two of them. Lego Marvel Avengers. I'm sure this is a really good game. I haven't actually played it yet. But I will say this is like a port of the 360 version. I don't need that. Like, there's a PS4 version. There's an Xbox One version. You know, if I was going to actually sit down and play it, I'd probably play one of those, just because why not? It's also, you know, a lot of the Lego games, especially on those consoles, end up being bargain bin cheap titles. So I'll probably pick it up again for either the Xbox One or the PS4. But yeah, nevertheless, definitely added to the collection, Lego Marvel Avengers. And the other one, which I was pretty excited to see, because this was an earlier title, so I hadn't found it really at any point, Resident Evil Revelations. This came out back when Resident Evil, obviously well before Resident Evil 7, kind of restored a lot of faith in the brand. There was a phase there where Resident Evil was just scorched earth because of Resident Evil 6. And this was released right around then. And so nobody really played this game, even though this game's actually really pretty good. And it had a 360 version. I think there was a PS3 version and obviously a Wii U version. The Wii U version I can't imagine is particularly common. Like, I've almost never seen it before. But yeah, and it's also the only Resident Evil game on the Wii U, and I believe it's one of the only M-rated games. I think it's like this and like Zombie U and maybe one other are the only mature rated games on the console. So definitely cool to get that one off the list. Yeah, and I think it's the only Wii U game in the North American library where the spine's actually black up here at this part instead of white. Usually white is just to indicate the game, and in Japan they use black to indicate that it's a mature game. I think this, I could be wrong, but I think this is the only North American game that took advantage, or at least tried to replicate that. Or maybe they were just going with the art style, I don't know. But either way, I think it's the only one. Moving on, some PS4 games. Wasteland 2 Director's Cut. Actually, I don't know much about this. It was just a clearance game. It looked kind of decent enough, so for a couple bucks I picked it up. And Rise of the Tomb Raider, the 20th anniversary of, 20-year celebration edition. So a lot of people asked me last year when this game came out on the Xbox One why I wasn't just picking it up for that. Like, you love Xbox exclusives, why don't you get that? I had gone to Gamescom 2015 where they first showed that game, when it was still supposed to be an Xbox One exclusive, and they had some of the developers there, and I was talking to the developers, and I basically just flat out asked them, like, what are the odds this thing comes to the PS4? And you can kind of tell what PR speak is. I'm around enough of public relations people and gaming people to kind of get a sense of this type of thing. And the question was dodged in such a way that didn't confirm my suspicions, but might as well have, that this was going to end up on the PS4 at some point, which is why I never got around to it. Sure enough, it did end up on the PS4. They remastered it and enhanced it in a lot of ways. They added a bunch of DLC and all that stuff. And on top of that, they gave it PS4 Pro support. Now, is it possible there will be an enhanced Xbox One version that comes to the Scorpio? Certainly. But this I actually had direct evidence of, whereas that I don't. So I ultimately went with the PS4 version. Now, so all of that with the pretty much, well, with the exception of these basically, is new gen stuff. And generally, I know a lot of people were asking, like, really since October I haven't really done much with retro gaming stuff. It's mostly been new gen stuff. If you guys aren't aware, generally in the winter months, that's when I get new stuff, is because everyone's trying to get rid of it. They're selling it, they're for Christmas and all that stuff, and just really trying to push it. So that's like the best time of the year to get newer generation titles, because there's just so much of them and everybody's competing with each other, so prices are just slashed everywhere. Whereas retro stuff really doesn't get any sort of benefit of that. Retro is really for the rest of the year. So now that we're pretty much out of the holiday season, I'm going to start swinging back over to some of the retro stuff that I've been working on, most notably the original Xbox, and as you can see, I did okay. I went to a store in Rockford, Illinois, called Disc Replay. That store, Disc Replay is like a used CD, DVD game store, has all sorts of physical media things. And they usually have a pretty decent selection of original Xbox, depending on the store. It's a chain throughout the Midwest. I know they're in Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan. There's probably a few other states that have them as well. And I happened to be going up to Wisconsin at the time. I just thought I'd stop in Rockford because it's right along the way. And so this particular disc replay has a deal where if you buy 5 games, you get a 6th free, cheapest one being free. Not an amazing deal, but you know, it's something. And that, I don't know if it was like that day in particular or what the deal was, but that disc replay is trying to get rid of their Xbox stuff, or their original Xbox stuff, or at least they were that day. For example, Star Wars Battlefront 2, which is one of the harder to get games on the original Xbox, can be around $40, sometimes up to $60 game. And that's how you know the original Xbox is cheap, when that is like your extreme, 40 or 60 is being the high-end stuff, then you know it's a cheap console to collect for. They were selling it for like 10. Like they're trying to get rid of a lot of the original Xbox stuff. So I didn't pick that up because I already own it and leave it for someone else. But I picked up a bunch of stuff I needed, and so this is what I ended up with. I ended up with 12 games because I was trying to do the, you know, take advantage of that deal. And so here's what I got. And one Streetball. Only thing I can really note about this is that I believe, as far as data usage, this is actually the biggest game on the original Xbox. Who would have known? I think it's like 7.5 gigs, something like that. Like it's close to filling up a dual layer DVD. I think, it's from what I recall. That was like the only factoid I found about this game. And yeah, I assume it has to do with a lot of cutscenes and live action video and stuff like that. That's the only reason I could think for it being that bulky. But there it is. Carmen Sandiego, The Secret of the Stolen Drums. This is the only thing I can think to note about this game, is that I've seen it many times, but every time I see it, it's always sun-faded. This is the first time I ever saw a copy of it that wasn't. Maybe it's just curse of, you know, bad luck or something, but you know, when I was looking for it to collect it, I never could until now, so I'm happy to get that off the list. Dance Dance Revolution Ultra Mix 3. FIFA Soccer 2002. Kakuto Chojin Back Alley Brutal. That would have... Back Alley Brawl would have made more sense. Back Alley Brutal doesn't really translate well. I think this game was originally intended to be a Japanese original Xbox exclusive, but was quickly brought over to North America. Supposedly a pretty decent fighting game. But I know that this game was never released in PAL regions, because my buddy Shenmuseo, Ben, what's up? I know he was looking for this, and I found it for him, and I brought it to him when I went to the UK in summer 2016. So I found it for him, but I hadn't found it for myself yet, but now here it is. Madden 2006, I know. I thought I had it too. I have all the Maddens, as if that's something to brag about, for the original Xbox, but apparently I was missing Madden 06, so yippee, got that one off the list. NASCAR Heat 2002. I could be wrong, but I think this was the last NASCAR game made by anyone other than EA. Could very much be wrong about that, but I think all the other ones were made by EA, at least from that generation. Operation Flashpoint Elite. Robotech Invasion. Strike Force Bowling. Tom and Jerry War of the Whiskers. Also another North American exclusive. Well, maybe it came out in Japan, but I kind of doubt it. I know it didn't come out in Europe, I guess is my point. Because this is another one that Ben wanted, but this one I couldn't find at the time, especially in his price range. But this place, much cheaper, so I found it for myself. Ben, I don't know if you still want original Xbox stuff if you're watching this, because he started purging his collection. So much sadness. And finally, World Poker Tour. So there you go. That is all my pickups for the month of February 2017. I want to thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned. Obviously, coming up, I'm sure will be all sorts of Nintendo Switch stuff that I'll be doing. So yeah, I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all later.